Okay, let's start with a mental image. You're out in your garden, you've got this beautiful rose bush you planted, you had all these great intentions for it.
Mm,
You swear, you absolutely swear you just weeded this thing last week.
mm.
But you look down, and it is just completely choked.
Oh, it's the worst feeling. The grass is like throwing a house party and you weren't invited.
Totally. And the rose is struggling, it's got black spots, it looks pathetic. And you're standing there thinking, why does the thing I want to grow need constant life support while the thing I hate seems to be immortal?
It feels like the universe is rigged, the good stuff is so fragile, and the unwanted stuff is just invincible.
It does. Now, normally the advice here is, horticultural. Get better mulch, buy some crazy herbicide. But today we're doing something different. We're looking at a source that says this exact frustration, the rose versus the weeds, is actually a perfect map for, well, the meaning of life.
It is. It's an incredible framework. We're doing a deep dive into a keynote presentation called The Garden of the Heart, Cultivating Devotion Under Favorable Conditions by Gaudachandra Dasa Adhikari.
And just so everyone's clear, this is not a gardening show. We are not going to talk about soil pH.
No.
This is a deep dive into a really detailed spiritual framework from the Vedic tradition, specifically Bhakti Yoga. But it uses this central metaphor of agriculture instead of, say, industry.
And that's the whole point. Our culture's narrative around self-improvement is so industrial. It's all grind, hustle, crush it.
Right, like you're a machine that just needs a software update.
Exactly. But this source says the soul isn't a machine, it's organic. It's a seed. And you can't hustle a seed to grow in concrete. It just won't work. You have to create the right environment.
So let's break this down. We'll start with that scene we just set, the rose and the weeds. What are we actually looking at here in this model?
Okay, so the rose bush is the soul. The source uses a specific Sanskrit term, the bhakti-lata-bija,
Which means?
the seed of the creeper of devotion.
And by creeper, you mean a vine, right? Not some weirdo in the bushes.
A vine, yes. Something that wants to climb upward toward the light. But the most important part of that name is the word seed. It implies the potential is already there.
That really stood out to me. The speaker quotes a famous teaching. I have not come to give you something new. I have come to remind you of what you have forgotten.
It changes everything, doesn't it? You're not trying to manufacture a spiritual nature out of thin air. You're not stapling plastic flowers to a dead stick. The life is already there. It's just
Buried.
buried under a whole lot of grass.
So let's talk about the grass, the weeds.
The grass is what the source calls anarthas.
And in plain English,
It literally means unwanted things or things of no value. And the metaphor is so precise. I mean, think about grass. You don't plant it in a rose garden, do you?
no, it just shows up. It's a volunteer.
Effortlessly. You don't have to cultivate anger or greed. They just appear. And they have these deep root systems that spread underground. On the surface, green grass can look harmless, even natural.
Until you realize it's stealing all the nutrients from the rose.
Exactly. It starves your higher potential. The source lists out the classic 6 weeds of the heart. You've got kama, which is lust, krodha, anger, lobha, greed.
Moha, illusion, mada, which is madness, and matsarya, envy. The whole rogues gallery.
And that idea of greed, the lobha, it's not just about money. It's that dissatisfaction loop.
The grass grows back idea,
That's it. You get the new phone, you get that little hit of dopamine, you're happy for, what, a day?
maybe. Then you need the case, and the better headphones, and the upgrade.
Right. You satisfy one desire and it drops seeds for 3 more. That's the biological imperative of a weed, to just take over.
Okay, so we've got the soul, our rose being choked by all this grass, these desires. The typical advice is just go pull the weeds. Just stop being angry.
Just try harder.
But the speaker in our source material, he's staring at his own garden and has this big realization.
He does. He realizes that on a hot day, with the sun beating down and the ground baked hard as a rock, pulling weeds is basically impossible.
Because they just snap off at the top.
They snap right off, the root stays in, and you're just left exhausted. The weed wins. And this is where the source says you can't remove these deep-seated issues with willpower alone. You can't just white-knuckle your way to a better life. You need
Favorable conditions.
favorable conditions. This is the idea of grace, or kripa. It's this interplay. Grace makes the work possible, but you still have to do the work.
So what are these conditions? There are 5 of them, right?
5 specific conditions, and the first one is the soil.
It has to be soft soil.
It has to be soft soil, which represents a receptive heart. The source contrasts this with hard soil, which is cynicism, pride, that voice that says, I already know all this.
We've all been there. Someone's
Oh.
giving you amazing advice, but you're just not in the mood to hear it, and it's like they're watering concrete.
It just runs right off. So the question is, how do you soften the soil? You can't just yell at it to soften up.
No,
It needs an external agent. It needs rain.
which is condition number 2, the rain.
The rain is shravanam, the process of hearing. In this tradition, spiritual sound is the most powerful agent of change. Just like a steady rain can soften the hardest ground, hearing this kind of wisdom softens the heart's defenses.
But the source is very specific. The rain has to come from above, right? It can't come from the ground.
It has to. This is the role of the guru, the spiritual teacher. The metaphor is that the guru is like a cloud that draws water from the ocean of mercy and carries it to the parched land.
I love the observation in the talk about the modern spiritual but not religious mindset. We want the garden, but we don't want the rain.
We want to be self-made. I'll figure out myself. But a plant can't water itself. You need that input from outside your own system to really grow.
Okay, so the rain's falling, the soil is soft, but there's still another problem. If you've ever tried to garden in the middle of the day, you know the biggest enemy isn't the weeds, it's the sun.
The scorching sun. And that brings us to condition number 3, protective clouds.
The source gets a little technical here. It calls the sun the taptraya, the threefold miseries.
Which is a really important concept, because a spiritual life doesn't mean everything suddenly becomes perfect. The taptraya are the 3 unavoidable sources of suffering.
Okay, what are they?
First, atyapmika. That's suffering from your own body and mind, anxiety, disease, just getting old.
Your own hardware failing.
Pretty much. Second is atibhataka, suffering from other living things. The mosquito, the noisy neighbor, the troll on the internet.
My neighbor's leaf blower at 7 a.m. Got it.
A classic example.
Hmm.
And third is ahidayveka. This is suffering from larger natural forces, earthquakes, pandemics, economic collapse, things you can't control. This is the scorching sun. It's always there.
So what do the clouds do? Because they don't make the sun go away.
No, and that's the key. This is the nuance I love. The clouds don't delete the sun. They filter it. They provide shelter. It's this concept called yogakshema, the idea that the divine protects what you have and provides what you lack. The suffering doesn't vanish, but it becomes bearable. You don't get heat stroke.
It's the difference between working in direct sun and working in the shade. The heat is still there, but one is sustainable and the other will literally kill you.
Exactly. You can keep working on your garden because you're not burning out.
All right, on to condition 4, which is the gentle breeze.
The breeze is sadhusanga. It means association with like-minded people. I mean, think of a stuffy room. The air is heavy, stale, it's oppressive.
Right.
A breeze keeps things moving, it keeps things fresh. The source argues that spiritual isolation leads to stagnation. You need that airflow from other people on the same path.
And this breeze also helps with condition number 5. And honestly, this was my favorite part of the whole thing. The mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes.
You've all been there, you're trying to focus, and there's just that little high-pitched whine in your ear.
And the source is careful to distinguish the mosquitoes from the sun. The sun is the big suffering, the major life events. The mosquitoes are the petty miseries, the daily irritations.
Lost keys, traffic, a rude comment.
Exactly. They don't kill you, but they can drain you. They break your concentration.
So what does the breeze do?
Well, have you ever noticed it's really hard for a mosquito to land on you in a strong wind?
Ah, okay.
They're too light. They just get blown away. The idea is that when you're in that breeze of good association and strong spiritual practice, the petty problems of life just break. They can't land.
Wow, that's a great reframe. It's not that the rude person magically becomes nice. It's that you're in a current where their comment just doesn't stick to you.
You become aerodynamic to the drama. The source mentions saints like Haridas Thakur, who endured just unbelievable persecution, way worse than mosquitoes, but they stayed completely peaceful. They were in a spiritual hurricane. The bites just couldn't reach them.
So let's review. We've got soft soil, we've got rain, clouds, a nice breeze, and the mosquitoes are gone. It sounds perfect. Time to just sit back and admire our work.
And that's the trap. This is the critical moment. The speaker says he looked at his own garden, all the conditions were perfect, but the weeds were still there.
Because weeds don't pull themselves.
They don't. This is where grace meets effort. Grace creates the perfect opportunity, but it doesn't do the work for you. The rain makes the soil soft so that you can pull the weed. It doesn't dissolve the weed itself.
And there's a specific technique for this, right? It's not just yanking randomly.
3 rules for effective weeding. First, strike while the iron is hot. When those 5 conditions line up, when you feel that inspiration, you have to act right then.
Don't put it off. That moment is the right time.
Exactly. The soil is soft now. Pull the weed now. Second rule, get to the root.
This is a big one.
It is. We usually just treat the symptoms. Say your weed is endlessly scrolling on social media, that's just the leaves. Deleting the app is like snapping the stem. The root, the loneliness, the anxiety, the need for validation is still there. It'll just grow back as something else.
And the third rule was discrimination. You have to know what's a weed and what's the actual plant.
Yeah. Yes, this is about balance. Legitimate needs like food, rest, human connection. Those are not weeds. They become weeds when they start to dominate the garden and choke out the rows. You need the wisdom to tell the difference.
And if you do all this, if you use the grace to fuel your effort, there's a transformation.
It's the shift from what the source calls the covered state to the clear state. When the weeds are gone, the rose finally gets the sunlight and the nutrients. And a rose, when it gets what it needs, what does it do?
It blooms.
It blooms. Naturally. You don't have to force it. And the whole mindset changes from what can I get to how can I serve, from extraction to contribution.
Okay, so we're almost out of time, but we have to touch on the final piece of this, because up to this point, this is just a really, really good self-help model, but the source zooms way out.
It goes completely metaphysical.
Yeah.
The speaker says the ultimate goal isn't just to have a nice garden in this world, it's about a transplanting.
The eternal garden. The concept of Vrindavana.
Exactly. And this is where the metaphor just gets so deep. The source suggests that our soul, our rosebush, is actually an exotic species. It's not native to this world.
Which is why it's so hard to grow here. We're trying to grow a tropical orchid in the Arctic.
And that explains everything, doesn't it? It explains why we never feel fully at home here, why there's always a struggle, why the weeds, the material desires, always seem to have the home field advantage. The climate is just wrong for the rose.
So this whole gardening process, bhakti yoga, is basically like building a greenhouse.
It's a greenhouse. You're creating an artificial environment that mimics the spiritual world, Vrindavana, so the plant can get strong enough to eventually be transplanted back to its original home.
A home with no weeds.
No weeds.
Yeah.
A place where the soil is eternally soft and the trees are wish-fulfilling, but the only wish they have is to serve. It's the perfection of the entire metaphor.
It's a powerful idea. It reframes the whole struggle from, I'm just failing at this, to, I'm just not home yet.
It gives the effort a real purpose.
Okay, so for everyone listening, let's bring this back home. We covered a lot. Can you just quickly recap those 7 elements for us?
You got it. The checklist for your inner garden. 1, the rose. That's you, your soul's potential. 2, the grass. Those are the unwanted desires. 3, the soil. Your heart, which needs to be receptive. 4, the rain. That's guidance from a higher source. 5, the clouds. The shelter from life's big miseries. 6, the breeze, your community, your association. And 7, the mosquitoes, all that petty stuff that gets blown away by the breeze.
And the main takeaway is, when those conditions line up, you act. You pull the weed. The source even gives homework. Identify your number 1 weed right now.
What's the one thing that's really choking you? Name it. Then check your conditions. Are you feeling isolated? Go find a breeze. Feeling cynical and hard-hearted? Ask for some rain.
And here's the thought I really want to leave you all with. The source ends by pointing out that we're always waiting for some huge sign, a lightning bolt from the heavens. But the speaker suggests that if you're hearing this message right now, that is the rain. If you're understanding it, that is the breeze.
The favorable conditions aren't some far-off thing. They're happening right now. The soil's soft. The tools are right here.
So the only question left is, are you going to pull the weed?
And that's a question only you can answer.
A huge thank you to Gaudachandra Dasa Adhikari for this incredible practical framework. It's definitely changed how I look at my own weeding.
Me too. Time to get my hands dirty.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Go find some breeze, watch out for mosquitoes, and we will see you on the next one.
Take care, everyone.